Hi, this is Ken, and I have a huge surprise for you today. Okay, I just got back from the library, and the librarian recommended this book. It's called Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. Okay, and she said that this book was a classic. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to read with you and see what a classic book is really like. So let's jump right in and see what the summary is of Sense and Sensibility. When Mr. Henry Dashwood dies, leaving his estate to his first wife's son, the second Mrs. Dashwood and her 3 daughters find themselves in reduced circumstances. As the family fortunes are diminished, so are the marriage prospects for the Dashwood sisters. Readers follow dignified, thoughtful Elinor and passionate, impetuous Marianne as each seeks love, endures loss, and finds happiness in her own way. Okay, that seems very heartwarming, kind of like what you'd expect a classic story to be. So let's just jump right in. And, okay. Well, we've got a scene here. It's got Elinor and Marianne, and they're talking with a guy named Willoughby. And they're talking about another guy named Colonel Brandon. Okay. Perhaps she pitied and esteemed him the more because he was slighted by Willoughby and Marianne, who, prejudiced against him for being neither lively nor young, seemed resolved to undervalue his merits.
"Brandon is just the kind of man,"
said Willoughby one day when they were talking of him together,
"whom everybody speaks well of and nobody cares about, whom all are delighted to see and nobody remembers to talk to." "That is exactly what I think of him," cried Marianne.
"Do not boast of it, however," said Elinor, "for it is injustice in both of you. He is highly esteemed by all the family at the park, and I never see him myself without taking pains to converse with him."
"That he is patronized by you," replied Willoughby, "is certainly in his favor. But as for the esteem of others, it is a reproach in itself. Who would submit to the indignity of being approved by such a woman as Lady Middleton and Mrs. Jennings, that could command the indifference of anybody else?"
Yeah, I don't know if I like this Willoughby guy. He seems kind of snobby and gossipy, and oh well. Let's jump ahead. There's got to be more action at some point, so let's see what we got. Oh, okay. Here's Elinor again, and she's talking to someone named Lucy about love. Elinor, for a few moments, remained silent. Her astonishment at what she heard at first was too great for words, but at length, forcing herself to speak, and to speak cautiously, she said with calmness of manner, which tolerably well concealed her surprise and solicitude, "May I ask if your engagement is of long standing?" "We have been engaged these 4 years."
"4 years?"
"Yes." Elinor, though greatly shocked, still felt unable to believe it.
"I did not know,"
she said,
"that you were even acquainted until the other day."
"Our acquaintance, however, is of many years' date. He was under my uncle's care, you know, a considerable while."
"Your uncle?"
"Yes, Mr. Pratt. Did you never hear him talk of Mr. Pratt?"
"I think I have,"
replied Elinor. Okay, all right, so some shocking news, but yeah, let's see if we can jump ahead. There's got to be a little more action here. Okay, hang on. Colonel Brandon. Okay, he's the guy that they were gossiping about earlier. Okay, and he's talking with Elinor. All right, let's take a look here. He shortly afterwards drew a chair close to hers, with a look which perfectly assured her of his good information, inquired after her sister. "Marianne is not well," said she. "She has been indisposed all day, and we have persuaded her to go to bed." "Perhaps, then," he hesitatingly replied, "what I heard this morning there may be more truth in it than I could believe possible at first." "What did you hear?" "That a gentleman, whom I had reason to think, in short, a man whom I knew to be engaged. But how shall I tell you, if you know it already, as surely you must, I may be spared." "You mean," answered Elinor with forced calmness,
"Mr. Willoughby's marriage with Miss Grey? Yes, we do know it all. This seems to have been a day of general elucidation, for this very morning first unfolded it to us. Mr. Willoughby is unfathomable. Where did you hear it?"
"In a stationer's shop in Pall Mall, where I had business. 2 ladies were waiting for their carriage, and one of them was giving the other an account of the intended match, in a voice so little attempting concealment that it was impossible for me not to hear it all. The name of Willoughby, John Willoughby, repeated frequently, first caught my attention, and what followed was a positive assertion that everything was now finally settled respecting his marriage with Miss Grey. It was no longer to be a secret." Whoa! Colonel Brandon. Man, you just gossip about Colonel Brandon, and he gossips right back at you. Man, Willoughby better watch out for Colonel Brandon. And man, I can't wait to read the rest of this. Sense and Sensibility. Okay, great. Well, I hope you can read along with me, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye. Thank you for watching Ken Reads. If you'd like to hear me read more books, please click to subscribe, and I'll keep those books coming.